Hi everybody. In this video series, we're going to solve full SAT math tests from College Board. This is test number 1, section 3. Section 3 is no calculator part of math test. In this section, you have 20 questions and 25 minutes. This section does not allow you to use calculator, and don't assume that the figures are given in scale, and all sets are real numbers, and all expressions, variables used represent real numbers unless otherwise indicated. And in the reference sheet you were given these formulas, most probably that you won't be using. So the more you practice the full tests, the better or higher scores you're gonna get. So let's go through all questions one by one with detailed explanations. Question number 1. If x minus 1 over 3 equals to k and k equals to 3, what's the value of x? So we were given k as 3, so we're going to substitute this. So our first step is to substitute k, which is 3. Now we are asked to find the value of x. Solving for x here is a little bit longer, so we're gonna use plug-in method. So what value of x minus 1 divided by 3 will give me 3? So this is intuitively clear that 10 minus 1 divided by 3 is 3. So if x is 10, then 10 minus 1 is 9, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. So here the answer is 10. Here you're going to use the plug-in method. So you're going to try 10. If it didn't work, you were going to use 9, 4, and 2. It would be easier and faster than solving for x. Let's say you didn't remember to plug-in method. Then you were going to do cross multiplication and then solve for x. Question number 2. We were given two complex numbers and we're going to do addition. Complex numbers are the numbers in the form of a plus bi, where a is the real part of the complex number and bi is the imaginary part of the complex numbers. So whenever we are doing addition between complex numbers, we add real part by real part and imaginary part by imaginary part. So 7 plus negative 8 will be negative 1, and 3i plus 9i will be 12i. So this is our answer, which is A. Question number 3. On Saturday afternoon, Armand sent M text messages each hour for 5 hours, and Tyron sent P text messages each hour for 4 hours. Which of the following represents the total number of the messages sent by Armand and Tyron on Saturday afternoon? So here we're going to do addition because and total number of messages. So the messages Armand sent is 5m and the Tyron is 4p, so it's going to be 5m plus 4p, which is going to be C. You can think this question as the variable and the slope of the variable. It is like hamburger is $5, which is 5h, plus let's say soda is $2, so 2s. Together, the total money you're going to be paying will be 5h plus 2s. And let's say you buy 2 hamburgers, so you're going to plug in 2 instead of hamburger variable. Let's say you buy 5 sodas, then you're going to be plugging in 5 instead of s. So here, let's say Armand sent 100 text messages, and then Tyron, let's say, did 75 text messages. So this is the function that models the total. Question number 4. Kathy is a repair technician for a phone company. Each week she receives a batch of phones that need repairs. The number of phones that she has left to fix at the end of each day can be estimated with the equation P equals to 108 minus 23D, where P is the number of the phones left and D is the number of the days she has worked that week. What's the meaning of the value 108 in this question? This is a linear equation in the form of y equals to mx plus b. And this equation flexibly interchange y equals to b plus mx. This is exactly the same as in the above. And in this equation, y is the total and m is the slope. Slope in real life is the rate or increase or decrease at each step. Price, speed, or decrease. X is the variable. Whatever the story is, the variable will be x. And b is the y-intercept. In real life, y-intercept is the initial value or start point. So let's match up our equation P equals to 108 minus 23D. It is something like this. So P equals to 108 minus 23D is something like y equals to b minus 23d or b minus 23 mx. So here this is b, which is y-intercept, which is initial value. So that is Katie starts each week with 108 phones to fix. A is Kathy will complete the repairs within 100 days. This is like y equals the total. Kathy repairs phones at the rate of 108 per hour. This is like asking slope. Kathy repairs phones at the rate of 108 per day. This is again like slope. So our answer is B. Question number 5. In this question, we were given two polynomials and subtraction. Since the negative sign is in front of big parentheses, we're going to distribute this negative sign into each term. So this will be positive. Negative times negative is positive. This will be negative and this will be positive again. Let's rewrite everything from the scratch. So the first term is x squared y minus 3y squared plus 5xy squared. And here we obtained positive x squared y minus 3xy squared. This is 3. And then plus 3y squared. Now we are going to simplify. This term and this term is exactly the same term with the opposite signs. So they cancel each out. Okay. So this term, x squared y and x squared y is the same term with the same sign. We have two of these, so 2x squared y. And this term and that term are the like terms, and positive 5, negative 3, so it's going to be positive 2 xy squared. So this is our final answer, which is going to be C. Question number 6. A pediatrician uses the model above to estimate the height age of a boy in inches in terms of the boy's age A in years between the ages of 2 and 5. Based on the model, what is the estimated increase in inches of a boy's height each year? So we have a linear equation in the form of y equals to mx plus b. This is slope-intercept form. And let's match up the equation here. So the equation given above is like h equals to 3a plus 28.6. And they want to know what is the estimated increase. So increase means the slope, and slope is the m. So in this equation, m is 3 if we match up each component. So the increase in height will be 3 inches. Question number 7. We were given a complicated formula above, and this formula gives the monthly payment M needed to pay off a loan of P dollars at R%, annual interest over N months. Which of the following gives P in terms of M, R, and N? So this means solve for P in terms of M, R, and N. So we're going to isolate P. If we do it this way, it's going to be too complicated. So let's name each pieces. So let's call this piece A. Let's call this piece on top as B, and the denominator here, let's call it C, and let's rewrite everything. So M is equal to A times B times P we have here, divided by C. Now we're going to solve for P, because we need to do it P in terms of others. So our first step is to cross multiply. So we're going to have C times M equals to A times B times P. Now we need P alone, so divide both sides by AB. So P equals to C over AB times M, because M is given here like separately. So we have to make it look like the options. So this is our answer. Now let's bring the pieces back. So C is 1 plus R over 12 hundredths to the N minus 1, which is option B. And A times B, this was our A, this was our B, this is our C, and this is M here. So if you were given a very complicated formula, very complex function, and if they want you to solve for one of the variables in terms of all others, my recommendation is to name them, solve for the letters, and then bring it back. That's going to be faster. For example, if you were asked to solve R in terms of pi and A, then you would be doing this. The first step is to divide by pi both sides. So R squared is equal to A over pi. Then square root both sides. Then R is equal to plus or minus square root of A over pi. Here you can ignore negative sign because radius cannot be negative. But if it was not radius, you were supposed to put plus and minus sign at the same time. So this question is something like this. So it is very simple. Just rename it and then bring it back. Let's go to question number 8. If A over B equals to 2, what's the value of 4B over A? We were given A over B as 2. And we have here B over A. If A over B is equal to 2, I can flip this fraction. So I have to flip this fraction as well. So it's going to be equal. A over B equals to 2 over 1. Then B over A will be 1/2. I flip this again. So I don't change the ratio. Now I have B over A here that I can substitute exactly because I know the value of B over A. So it's going to be 4 times 1/2, which is going to be 4 divided by 2, which is 2. So C is the answer. Let's go to question number 9. We were given two linear equations and solve the systems of equations above. What's the solution of x and y? So we have three methods here: graphing, elimination, and substitution. Elimination is the fastest method. You can also plug in the values, but it's going to be a little bit longer than solving. Let's go directly elimination method. For 3x plus 4y equals to negative 23. 2y minus x equals to negative 19. Actually, we can rearrange this. Let's rewrite it as negative x plus 2y. Let's write the variables on top of each other. We have negative x, we have 3x. So if I multiply this whole equation by 3, let me complete this equation, negative 19. If I multiply this whole equation by 3, I can obtain negative 3x, which will cancel each other at the next step. So I don't change the first equation on top, but I multiplied the bottom equation by 3. 3 times negative x is negative 3x, 3 times 2y is 6y, and 3 times negative 19 is negative 57. Now I'm going to add them up. So 3x, negative 3x cancels out. This is going to be 10y, and this is going to be negative 3 plus 7 is 10, 2 plus 5 is 7, plus 1 is 8. Here y will be equal to negative 8. Now we know that y value, which is the second coordinate, is negative 8. So I don't need to solve for x. This is directly the answer. These questions generally, since you see all the numbers are different, once you find one of the coordinates, the second coordinate will be automatically the other one. If you have two negative 8s, then you had to plug this into one of the equations. Let's plug in here, this is easier, to be able to see that x is 3. Let's try for the sake of practice. So 2 times negative 8, which is the y coordinate, minus x equals to negative 19. Negative 16 minus x equals to negative 19. Negative x is equal to negative 3. And x is equal to 3. Let's go to question number 10. We were given g of x is equal to ax squared plus 24 for the function g defined above. A is a constant and g of 4 is 8. What's the value of g of negative 4? We were given g of 4 equals to 8, which means this 4, 8 is the point in this function. This is the x coordinate, this is the y coordinate. So if I can plug in for an 8 in this function, I can find the value of a. Let's do that. So 8 instead of g of x means y equals to some function. So a times x coordinate is given 4 plus 24. So here 8 equals to 16a plus 24. And if you subtract 24 from both sides, 16a will be equal to negative 16. And if you divide both sides by 16, you're going to get a equals to negative 1. Now we know the value of a. Let's plug in. So g of x function will be equal to, instead of a, we're going to plug in negative 1, which is going to be negative x squared plus 24. Now we were asked to find the value of g of negative 4. Since we know the function, we can plug in directly. So instead of x, we're going to plug in negative 4. So we're going to obtain negative 4 squared is 16, and this negative is from here, plus 24. And this addition will give us 8. So g of negative 4 is positive 8. Question number 11. b equals to 2.35 plus 0.25x. c equals to 1.75 plus 0.40x. In the equations above, b and c represents the price per pound in dollars of beef and chicken, respectively, x weeks after July the 1st during last summer. What was the price per pound of beef when it was equal to the price per pound of chicken? So here we were given two functions and we know that they are equal to each other. So in that case, what is the price of beef when they are equal to each other? So what we are looking for, the price of the beef per pound when two functions are equal to each other. This means I can set them up equal to each other and solve for x. Okay, so I can find the x value by setting each function equal to each other. That's gonna give me the intersection of two functions equals to 1.75 plus 0.40x. Now I'm going to merge the x and the numbers. So I have 0.25x here and 0.40x here. Okay, let me collect x's on the right hand side. So subtract this from both sides. And let me collect the numbers on the left hand side then. So I have to subtract 1.75 on both sides. And finally I'm going to obtain, this is going to be 0.15x, and the numbers will be 5 minus 5 is 0, 13 minus 7 is 6, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So 0.60 equals to 0.15x. And for the value of x, I have to divide both sides by 0.15. Then I'm going to obtain x is equal to 4, because 4 times 0.15 will give me 60. Now I know that x value is 4, but we were asked here the price of the beef. What was the price per pound of beef when it was equal to the price per pound of chicken? So here we're going to b function and then plug this in here. Actually it doesn't matter because this is the point where two functions are equal to each other. But let's plug in here because it's easier to multiply by 0.20. So 0.25 times 4 is $1, or just 100, and plus 235 will be 335. So this is the answer. Let's go to the next question. A line in the xy plane passes through the origin and has a slope of 1.7. Which of the following points lies on the line? Okay, so for this question, our template is y equals to mx plus b. And we know that this line, this equation passes through the origin, which is 0, 0. And the slope is given, which is m, is 1.7. So we can make up this equation actually. So our y value is 0, this is x coordinate, this is y coordinate. 0 equals to, our slope is given 1/7, and our x value is 0 plus b. Now I'm going to solve for b, which is the y-intercept, to be able to make this whole equation. So this is 0, 0, so b is 0. Actually we knew it because it's passing through the origin. So y-intercept is 0, we already knew it. So this method is the long method. Actually we're gonna go like this. So which of the following points lies on the line? Since the slope is 1/7, we know that it's going 1/7 by 1/7. Let's plug in the answer choices one by one. Let's start with D. if this was the point on the line, let's see if it is satisfying the equation. So 2 is the y coordinate, equals to 1/7 is the slope, times x coordinate is given 14, plus b. Actually b is here 0, we already know it. So 2 is equal to 14 divided by 7 is 2, plus 0. Actually this is correct, because this equation, right hand side and left hand side is equal. So the answer is D. Let me try one answer that is not correct to satisfy the solution. Let's say 7/7. So x coordinate is 7, y coordinate is 7. 1/7 times 7, the x coordinate, plus 0. So 7 equals to 7 divided by 7 is 1, plus 0. This is not correct. So whole 3 answers will be wrong, and this is correct. So you can go to plug-in method here actually. But you need to directly understand that the y-intercept is 0 because it's passing through origin. Or you can try out in a long way and then find it out. It takes extra 10 seconds. Question number 13. If x is greater than 3, which of the following is equivalent to options given? So we were given this complex fractions. So I need to merge this and that. So our common GCF, our common denominator, is x plus 2 times x plus 3. 1 over x plus 2 plus 1 over x plus 3. So I can multiply this whole equation by x plus 2 times x plus 3, which is the GCF here in the bottom. To be able to do this addition, I need to make the same denominators. So this expression times the first fraction, this cancels this cancels this. I'm going to obtain x plus 3 from the first one. And if I multiply this by the second fraction, then this cancels that. So I'm going to obtain here plus x plus 2. And all over x plus 2 times x plus 3. That you shouldn't forget it, because that's the denominator which doesn't change. Okay, now I'm going to merge this. 1 over, so 3 plus 2 is 5, and x plus x is 2x. 2x plus 5. All over x plus 2 times x plus 3. 1 over anything, like 1 over a over b, will give you b over a. It just flips. So here I'm going to obtain x plus 2 times x plus 3 all over 2x plus 5. This is our answer, final answer. So let's observe. So this is not the answer, this is not the answer. I need to have 2x plus 5 in the denominator. This looks the answer. So we need to make sure that the numerator has to be same. If we distribute this, we're going to obtain that. This is intuitively understood, but if you're not sure, you can just distribute very fast. X times x is x squared, x times 3 is 3x, 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 3 is 6. So this is x squared plus 5x plus 6, which is exactly the same as here. So that is the answer. Question number 14. If 3x minus y equals to 12, what's the value of 8 to the x and 2 to the y? Since we're going to find the value of this expression, our system is solving for x or y here in the first equation given, and then plug in the second. So it doesn't matter whether you solve for x or y. Let's do it. Let's solve for y. So 3x minus y equals to 12. Subtract 3x on both sides. So negative y equals to negative 3x plus 12. and then multiply everything by negative sign, so y equals to 3x minus 12. Okay, we know that y value is now 3x minus 12. So we're going to plug this in here where the y is. And we have to express 8 on the base of 2. So 8 is 2 to the third. And we have x here. Divided by 2 to the, instead of y, we're going to write 3x minus 12. Since we have the same bases, now we can merge it. On the same base, since it is division, the operation is subtraction. If it was multiplication, the operation would be addition. So 3x minus, don't forget the open parentheses, because 3x minus 12 is subtracted from 3x. 3x minus 12. And then 3x, distribute this negative sign, negative 3x plus 12. Now we're going to simplify. 3x cancels 3x, 1 positive, 1 negative, and the final answer is 2 to the 12th. So it is A. Question number 15. If ax plus 2 times bx plus 7 equals to 15x squared plus cx plus 14 for all values of x, and a plus b is given as 8, what are two possible values for c? So for this question, first we're going to distribute these two expressions and then match up the quadratic. Let's start. So our first step is to multiply these two parentheses. Ax times bx is abx squared, and ax times 7 is 7ax. 2 times bx is 2bx, and 2 times 7 is 14. Now we are going to merge the like terms. Here we have only x parts, like terms. So it's going to be abx squared. We have 7a plus 2b x plus 14 equals to this expression, which is 15x squared plus cx plus 14. Now we can match each parts. This is the c terms, they are equal. This is the x terms, this is equal to this, and this is the x squared terms, this is this. So from here we can see that a times b is equal to 15, and we also can see that 7a plus 2b is equal to c. And we are looking for two possible values of c. And we were given extra information, a plus b is 8. Now I need to find two values of a and b, which is going to give me 8, and a times b, which will give me 15. So let's see what the prime numbers, prime factors of 15. 1 times 15, 3 times 5, that's it. And here we know that 3 times 5 is the correct pair, because 3 plus 5 will give me 8. However, we don't know if a is 3 or b is 3, so 5 plus 3 is also the option. Either a is 3 or 5, or b is 5 or 3. Now we're going to use both combinations. So here we know c is this. C is 7a plus 2b. So a is either 3 and b is 5, which will give me 7 times 3 is 21, 5 times 2 is 10, so it's going to be 31. Or a is 5 and b is 3. In this case, it's going to be 7 times 5 is 35, plus 2 times 3 is 6, 6 plus 35 is 41. So we know that C is either 31 and 41. So the answer is D. Question number 16. So far now we've finished the multiple choice. Now we're going to go grid in. So whenever you find your answer, you're going to grid in your answer this way. If it is 7 over 12, 7 division sign and 12, and you're going to bubble in the numbers. Or you can write in decimal point, like 2.5. And those are the acceptable ways. You can write either in fraction or decimal point. And if it is 666, you can round it up, 667. So either position is correct, either left hand side or right hand side. Okay, question number 16. If t is greater than 0 and t squared minus 4 equals to 0, what's the value of t? So we're going to solve for t. We know that t squared minus 4 equals to 0, so we add 4 on both sides. And then we're going to get t squared equals to 4, positive 4. We're solving for t, so we square root for both sides. And then t will be equal to plus or minus 2. However, we know that t is greater than 0, so we're going to accept positive 2. So t equals to 2. And you're going to go to answer sheet like this. Like you're going to write 2 here. You're going to write here 2, and then you're going to bubble here 2, like this. Question number 17. A summer camp counselor wants to find the length x in feet across a lake as represented in sketch above. The lengths represented by AB, EB, BD and CD on the sketch was determined to be 1800 feet, 1400 feet, 700 feet and 800 feet respectively. Segments AC and DE intersect at B. So AC and DE intersects at B. And angle AEB, which is this angle, and angle CDB, which is this angle, have the same measure. So this angle and that angle has the same measure. What is the value of x here? So here the figure is given as in similar triangles. So we're going to use triangle similarity. There are two conditions that make two triangles similar. One is we have to prove two angles are exactly the same, or the ratios are all the same. Here we were given one angles are same exactly. Here these two angles are same because they are vertical angles, and vertical angles are the same angles. Since we have angle-angle similarity, two angles are similar to two angles, so we can say that these triangles are similar. And similar triangles are in proportion. So we're going to match up the corresponding parts. Let's label first the given numbers. So we were given that A to B is 1800 and B to C is not given. B to D is given 700 and D to C is given 800 and E to B is given 1400. So we see that BD and EB are the corresponding parts if you see the angles and sides here. So from here to here it is doubled. So we see that ratio is 1 to 2. If we had to make up here, it would be 900 because 1 to 2. So from here to here it would be doubled, so 1600. So once you have to prove that this is similar triangles, you don't have to show your work on paper, you have to just grid in correct number. But you need to make sure that this is similar triangles by proving two pairs of angles are same or three sides are in proportion, because similar triangles are in proportion. And after that, you're going to find the corresponding parts. If you put this triangle on top of other triangle, like fold it from here, that these corners are corresponding, these corners are corresponding, and these sides are corresponding. Okay, so we know that vertical angles are same, these two angles are given same, so by angle, this is similar triangle, so the corresponding parts have to be in proportion. We know that this is 1:2 ratio, so 800 has to be 1600. And you're gonna go to grid in part, and you're gonna write 1600 here, and then you're gonna bubble 1600. This is gonna be 600. And if you don't do it correctly, even though your work is correct, your answer will be wrong. Let's go to question 18. We were given two systems of equations and they want to know the value of x. So we can use elimination method, which is pretty fast. So x plus y equals to -9, x plus 2y equals to -25. If I multiply this whole equation by negative sign, I can obtain negative x and it can cancel with the positive x. So that's the plan. So if I multiply everything by negative, this will be negative x, this will be negative y, this will be positive 9. For the sake of space, I do it here on here. So x's will cancel, 2y minus y will be y, and -25 minus 9 will be 16, -16. Y is -16, so if y is -16, then x will be, if you add 16 on both sides, you're gonna get x is equal to 7, because 7 plus, let me make it here, x minus 16 equals to -9. I add 16 on both sides, so I obtain positive 7. That's correct. So again, you're gonna go to your answer sheet, you're gonna write here 7 and you're gonna bubble in 7 here. Question number 19. In a right triangle, one angle measures x degree where sine of x is 4/5. What is cosine 9 minus x? So here there is a very common identity. If sine A is equal to cosine of b, in the condition that if a plus b is equal to 90 degree, which implies sine of whatever is equal to cosine of 90 minus whatever, which is angle A here. So sine degree is 4/5, cosine is 90 minus x. What is cosine? So cosine 90 minus x is equal to sine of x, which is actually exactly the same, because sine of x is given here, 4/5. So cosine 90 minus x is equal to sine x by the identity, which is given 4/5. So you're going to go to grid in, or you're going to write 4 division sign 5, 4 divided by 5. And you're going to bubble in correctly 4 and division sign here, and then 5. So sine x is equal to cosine 90 minus x is the same as sine x, which is 4/5 by the identity. If a and b are the complementary angles, then sine of a is equal to cosine of b. Okay, if a is equal to 5 root 2 and 2a equals to 2 root x, 2x in radical, what's the value of x? So we're going to solve for x here. 2 times, instead of a, we can directly write 5 root 2 equals to 2x in radical. So we came here from 2a equals to square root of 2x. And we substituted a as this, which is given. Now let's simplify. 2 times 5 is 10. This is going to be 10 root 2 equals to square root of 2x. Now we have to square both sides. And then we're going to obtain, since we are squaring here as well, so 10 squared is 100 times square root of 2 squared is just 2, and then this is just 2x because square cancels square root. Now we have 2x equals to 200, and then divide both sides by 2, so x equals to 100. That's it. X is just 100. And then you're going to go to your gradient. You're going to write here 100. And then you're going to bubble in 100. That's it. That's it for section 3. At the next video, we are going to start section 4, calculator part. Thank you for watching. Please comment and like the video. Thank you very much.